All right, I'll get started. So whoever's ever arranging me, pin me and we'll get started. Thanks everybody for joining us. This is awesome. So it was the gold sequined boots that first caught my attention at the London North Costco, December 20th of 2020. About a year ago. Wow, it's a year ago today. It was December 5th. Look at that. It's a year ago today. Just dawned on me. And the gold sequins boots matched the perfect gold sequin mask that complemented, whoa, what am I seeing here? A full lion costume as this Costco member walked through the London North Costco December 5th of 2020, a year ago. Not on Halloween, in the Christmas season. And of course, being a lion, he was making his way towards the special meats cooler. I'm not making that up. You can see that's where the picture is. There's gourmet sausages from all over the world. He came looking for wildebeest. I got to be honest, he walked away disappointed. Now, what was I doing at the London North Costco December 5th a year ago? You see, I live in London, Ontario, Canada. A 2-hour drive east of Detroit, 2-hour drive west of Toronto and Buffalo. And I have been a professional speaker since 1992. I first met Jim Finnemeyer and Terry D'Imperio at the 1996 National Leadership Conference down in Lake Mead, Florida, where I was one of the showcase speakers. In the next 3 years, I would keynote 32 state conferences, including New Mexico's, and would speak at the 1998, for example, New Mexico leadership camp in the summer, bringing my new bride. We only got married 3 days earlier. So this has been my only career since I graduated college. And I didn't realize that everything would change March 14th of last year. See, March 13th, I was doing what I normally do. Weren't you? Weren't you? Remember normal? Do you remember that? It was early March of last year, wasn't it? But we all know what happened that week as the NBA, NHL canceled games and Tom Hanks said, I have COVID. And every booking, 31 bookings for the rest of my spring, wiped away that entire weekend. I had no idea what government supports would help. My wife was a supply teacher. She just got back into teaching after years of being a full-time mom and working for our church. And it was gone. Like, whoa. It's one thing to get up in front of kids and tell them to be a leader and deal with change and stay positive and you can do it. And all of a sudden, I'm dealing with the greatest personal challenge of my entire life. And oh, by the way, so is the entire world. So 5 days after my last speech, I applied at one of the few companies actually hiring the week of March 17th. Costco. And 10 days after my last professional talk, I'm working at the London North Costco and would work there full time 9 months of 2020 as I figured out the virtual speaking world. Because I had no idea how to do this last year. No idea. I'm right now in my basement studio. I love adding the word studio, but let's be clear, it's just my basement. There's an old couch right there. The kids' Lego is right there. Do you know that at the London North Costco, I did 11 jobs that never existed before March of 2020? Can you say the same thing? Can you say that as you look back at your activities past year and a half, you think, wow, we never did that before, never think about these things before, right? As you did your camps, your conferences, your special events at your school, how much change we had to adjust to? For example, one of my jobs you can see there, I was handing out masks at the front door at Costco. I was spraying the handles of carts. Who would ever thought that was a job? I was walking around Costco for 4 months last fall. My job was keeping people socially distanced with this cart. In fact, last summer, sometimes I would stand at the big coolers that held our dairy products and limit it to 5 people in the cooler at the time. One time, one woman said, "Can I go in?" I said, "No, there's 5 in there." She said, "Oh, come on." I said, "Ma'am, I literally have one job. It's to count to 5. Oh, by the way, you can go in now. A year earlier, I'm keynoting a conference for 2,300 students in Niagara Falls. And today, my job is to work for $17.30 an hour and count to 5. Have you had to adjust in the past 2 years? I know I have. I know I don't need to remind you how much change you've had to deal with. So now let's go back to Mike. Yes, his name was Mike. So being the people person, just like you, I had to go up to him and say, sorry, sir, why are you dressed as a lion on December 5th? Well, Mike explained. He was part of the Business Cares food drive here in London. This is where business leaders and different people in small businesses would volunteer their time, stand outside grocery stores, and encourage people to buy a little extra and put extra in the bins for the food bank. Best practices. That's how you run your camps and conferences, right? Hey, we have a great idea. Let's try it. Oh, it works. We're going to keep doing it. They do the same thing. Many years ago, they came up with the idea of wearing costumes and playing music to make their pitch more memorable, so that when people were in the grocery store, they would go, oh yeah, I need to buy a little extra. And so donations went up when they added creativity, when they added fun, when they added music, when they added energy. You know this. You work with young people, but you know that amazingly, everything we do with young people in terms of energy also works with 22-year-olds and 51-year-olds, right? So they watch their donations go up. But then the challenges of COVID-19 hit. All this change hits. And just like you, they didn't give up. It would have been so easy to quit, right? It's too hard. We can't do it. But you adjusted just like Mike adjusted. And so they went ahead with their Business Cares food drive in December 2020. They just added masks, but they kept up the enthusiasm, they kept up the costumes, and they kept up what has made a difference, just like you have. Thank you for that. I've seen this firsthand, Where I live in London, Canada, you had a choice. Your child could be full-time virtual or full-time in person last year. But even the full-time in person, more than almost half of the year ended up being virtual anyhow because of the different waves. You know what I'm talking about. But my younger daughter, my 7th grade daughter, was virtual the entire year. This was her classroom. This is Spirit Day, folks. It's called Hat Day. And again, who would ever thought Hat Day would be from a computer in my dining room? Adjustment, right? Hobie is a national conference program for 10th graders. They have summer camps. Some of you have heard of Hobie, right? It's for 10th graders, right? Started by Hugh O'Brien back in the 60s, right? There's only one in Canada, and it's only a half an hour from my house. I've keynoted every year until 2020, and they did have to cancel it because they're too last minute. But in 2021, just like you, they adjusted, and they put it online. But this year, I had a 10th grade daughter. And yes, there was disappointment. There was even tears when my daughter literally said, and I'm sure you've said it too, why me? Why my year does the conference have to be online? And I just gave her a hug, let her cry, and say, and then a half an hour later, she logged on to the conference where her daddy was the keynote. It was the only time during the pandemic where I would do a speech and one of the audience members was just right over there. She gave me a hug and kiss before the presentation, right on camera, and all the kids all gave a big awe. My wife did get full-time work as a teacher last fall as a virtual computers teacher. She said, who had ever thought that my job would be teaching computers from a computer? And in the first 3 months of the school year, the calendar changed 4 times. Oh my gosh, you professionals in education had to see so much change, haven't you? She asked a coworker, how do you teach databases when you don't have access? He says, well, I use Google Forms. Oh, how do you do that? That great colleague did what you and I have been doing, right? You share your good ideas, your best practices with people that are facing frustration and all this change. So this great colleague of my wife said, why don't you come into my classroom? I'll show you how I use Google Forms and use it for databases because kids don't have access on their home computers. What she was even more impressed, though, was that he had a green screen. So he showed him how to he showed her how to make a green screen, and my wife and I made a green screen out of stuff we got from the dollar store. But just like you, there's moments when you look behind the scenes of all of our change, and it really is sometimes held up by duct tape, isn't it? Where sometimes you have thought as a professional, man, if my coworkers or my kids knew what I had to get through to get to this, where you sometimes feel that your day is being held up by duct tape because of all the challenges. But you're getting through, aren't you? Even here in Canada, we had no professional football last year, no university football, no high school football. So when this fall, the football came back, but you had to be vaccinated to go to games, and people in the stands had to wear masks until you sat down. And for my university yesterday to win the national championship, oh, it was so fun. Like, again, what a crazy day yesterday. Yesterday I spoke at this conference from 10:30 to 11:30 in one of the workshops. Then all my buddies were in my garage, and I went right to watching the game at 1 o'clock, and we were crowned national champions by 4. Who would have thought I would have gone from talking to all over America to a national championship right in this garage? So I say to you, and I say to your team running camps and conferences all over your great country, to quote the Wizard of Oz, and inspired by Mike the Lion, as I wrapped up my conversation with Mike, I said, Mike, thanks for your courage. Thank you to you for your courage. That my opening few minutes is about taking a little pause and go, oh, we have been through a lot. Yes, you have. And I admire you for it. And your example of courage of keep going and running your activities and figure out new ways and best practices has really made a difference. And what is courage in this instance? It's to be that agent of compassionate change during these extraordinary times. So as you work with your team, as you plan next year's activities, remind them of the power of compassionate change. That is, patience with yourself, patience with others. See, this is all part of my program I teach called Can I Count on You? How to Improve Your Reliability. And one of the 6 keys of being reliable is honesty and then fix it. Now, Lou Miller will share with you a great handout that shares all the insights from my workshop, but I'm focusing on one in our brief time together. That is, we got to impart on our team that the more we lead, the more mistakes we're going to make. And when you add all this incredible change from the past 2 years, we're going to make some more. My boss at Costco said that in the first month of me working there, they changed 125 protocols at Costco. And you know that there's some moments that members would say to us, you know that this isn't working? And we had to look at them and say, yeah, you're right, but we'll be better tomorrow. Let's remind our team that it's not the screw up, it's the cover up that's going to affect our ability to run effective activities, both statewide, national-wide, for our school or for anything. It's not the screw up, it's a cover up. We don't expect perfection. We just want honesty. We just want honesty. Tell them this great story. Tell them about Manute Bol. Manute Bol, who played for 10 years in the NBA, still has the record for the biggest wingspan in NBA history at 8'6", still third all-time in NBA history for block shots. There he is with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Manute Bol came to America in 1980 to attend 11th grade, went to college in America, and played professionally for 10 years. English was his 4th language. When he passed away about a decade ago, Michael Wilbon from ESPN announced that Manute Bol, the man that gave us My Bad, has passed away. Did you know that? You know that the statement, My Bad, originated with a new American from Sudan named Manute Bol? Here's the story. At one of his first practices with the Golden State Warriors, he had a bad pass. He screwed up, just like you and I screw up, right? And he looked at that teammate and he said, oops, my bad. His teammates initially laughed because of his broken English, but they also kind of liked it. So next time they screwed up, they said, oops. What'd they say, everybody? Oops. My bad. And now it's just part of our culture, isn't it? You know it's part of your culture when my 63-year-old, raised on the East Coast, Caucasian minister, is my doubles partner in tennis a few months ago, puts a ball in the net, turns to me, and what did he say, everybody? He looked at me and said, oops, my bad. So let's remind our team the power of my bad. What my bad does is that it means you're honest with yourself and your team about mistakes. And that we as professionals got to be reminded that even though we're 51, 31, 41, the courage it takes to look at a 17-year-old, 22-year-old member of our team and say, my bad. You're right, I said I'd do that and I didn't. But then part B of this is honesty, then fix it. I'll call them now. I'll go get it done now. Yeah, you're right. I could have handled that better. I'll go talk to them right now. And then when we're that example, they can then do that for each other. When they see you be an example of clearing the air, that a wholehearted apology will go such a long way to quell controversy. You've all seen how controversy can go on way too long because one or two or more people just won't say, my bad, my mistake. Here's how we're going to do better. We're going to make mistakes. We got to figure things out. Things are changing daily. I get it. Because being honest about your mistakes actually increases people's perception of how reliable you are. Don't think that it's going to decrease how people view how trustworthy you are. It'll actually increase it. It really will. I end in the next 2 minutes with the following. Share with your team the story of BVP. Many of you know the TV show Shark Tank, right? The idea of venture capitalists, that is, people that have money, will then invest their money in startups to make them into successful companies. Well, BVP is America's largest. And they actually list their screw-ups. So most companies have a portfolio. They have an anti-portfolio page that actually lists their screw-ups. And on the handout that Lou has, you can go to that handout, website, and share it with your team, including this great line, our long and storied history has afforded our firm a number of opportunities to completely screw up. That thanks to BVP, we have companies like Yelp, LinkedIn, Skype, Shopify, and Twitch. Have you ever heard of these companies? Yeah, you'd brag about them too if you helped bring them to the market. But you know what BVP said no to? Companies that they didn't think would work? That's right. They said no to Apple in 1977. They said no to eBay when they thought that stamps, comic books, coins, you got to be kidding me, is the line that they shared on the website. And to conclude, the Google story is the best, and all these stories are actually on their website. In 1998, one of the BVP directors was friends with the woman renting the house to Larry and Sergey, these two smart Stanford students working on a search engine in her garage. It was a Friday. She actually said to him, you should meet these two kids in my garage. To which his comeback was, and I quote, how can I leave your house without going anywhere near your garage? Little did he know, he was missing an opportunity to meet the founders of the largest company in the world when it was still in the garage. And if this company can tell their deepest, darkest, and in some cases funniest screw-up stories, you and I can look at our team and say, yeah, you're right. My bad. But I'm going to fix it by, we're going to learn from this by, and we're going to, just like Mike the Lion, we're not going to stop making a difference. We're going to go ahead. We're just going to do it differently. America, thank you for all you've done to be that agent of compassionate change during these extraordinary times. It was a pleasure being part of this conference this weekend. Thank you so much, and all the best as you plan your activities for 2022. Have a wonderful holiday season. Thanks, Kristen, for the wave. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Suzanne. Thank you, everybody. What a pleasure. Have a great rest of your event and happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Tom, good to see you. Hi, Tracy. Thanks so much, everybody. Patty, thank you. Stop the virtual cam. Stop recording.